friends. It's Diamond Ballet, and this is my best friend, Brittany Daisy.
What up, though? You are now tuned in to the Good Girls Wild Thoughts podcast.
Yes, we are good girls, and we have wild thoughts, child.
So, before we escape into the wow, I just want to make sure this is a judgment-free zone, right?
Because God hears all, sees all, and forgives all.
Okay, so are we on one accord? We good? All right. Amen.
Amen.
What's up,
Hi,
friend?
friend. Hey, girl. I'm doing good. How are you doing, darling?
I am doing very well.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just like I got some momentum from the week.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited. I'm taking a little weekend vacation. So I'm just like trying to prepare my mind and my house to have a little fun this weekend. So I'm feeling good. How about you?
Same. I think I just been on a go this week. Everything has just been moving. We had family member we haven't seen in a while returned to us, so that's been good. Just reuniting, bonding, getting acclimated,
Yeah.
adjusted with family and all those things. So it's been moving. So sister, that's tired.
Yeah, because I feel like I have called you several times and you have not answered. And you calling back hours later, like, oh, please.
At booty call hours, like, girl, so yeah.
Like, you are my emergency contact.
No, in real life, you are mine.
All top 5 in my top 5. Like
I called all 4 and I'm on the 5th one and they're not answering.
Because I am the notify anyway, girl. Like, I don't play that. Do not disturb who? I don't know her.
Right. There's like, girl, you got your do not disturb again. I'm so sorry. I'm asleep.
Do you know, world, let me tell y'all, as much as I love Diamond Ballet, the thing that pisses me off is when I text her and my phone vibrates. So I'm thinking she's responding. But it's an automated message talking about I'm driving and my phone is not disturbed.
Not you don't want me to be safe, little Daisy. Y'all don't know that's her nickname for me.
I just feel like that notification is unnecessary. Like, just keep me in waiting. Like,
for my safety.
Seriously, keep me guessing. Because when I hear that ding, that vibration, I'm expecting a response from you.
Right. We have spoiled each other. That's what it is.
Like, what? Like, girl.
We spoiled each other. When I speak, you respond. Girl, and then every time she's been calling me this week, I'm like, girl, I was knocked out.
And I mean, calling back hours later.
Like, girl, I really was asleep. So I'm a little tired.
Y'all, but no, the listeners have to understand. The reason this podcast is even a thing is because we have this unprecedented phone relationship.
This is the relationship. So if you don't answer the phone, it's like, oh, so you're opting out.
Like, so this is over. Oh, we're not friends no more.
Right. Or you know how you always got that one friend that's always bringing something up. I just feel like we need to discuss something.
Yeah.
Happening.
Like,
come on, time for a talk, and it's like, girl, I'm just tired. That's it.
I'll give you some grace, but by April, wrap it up. I need you to wrap it up.
Girl, and I can't wait till April. That's the other thing, the weather. So it's like life changes, but then the weather too. Sometimes the sun, the vitamin D gives you an extra boost. Throughout life, and we haven't been having that. We've been having snowstorms, just about every weekend. But today was pretty cool.
Yeah, honestly, I feel bad for y'all. I mean,
way to rub it in.
I mean, every day I get on social media and a family member, a friend, somebody is talking about another snowstorm coming.
Bruh. So that's annoying because when you used all your salt, for the last snowstorm, and it's supposed to be springish right now.
Right. So you
Now
don't
we're
want
gonna
to.
but guess what? It's not in the store because they preparing for spring. Like
Oh,
I'm confused. I don't have what I need when I need it, and y'all not the weather is not giving. So
yeah,
I
I
might
don't
be
miss
studying
it.
hard in it too. So
Everybody keep the Michiganders in your prayers.
yes, and it's break. Pray for us.
Right.
Hopefully, we have a spring.
I mean, well, I guess this is like Chatty Patty, an intro to Chatty Patty at least.
It is, but I do have something I want to bring up though.
Okay, what's up? Y'all know this is my favorite segment, Chatty Patty.
Hi. Go ahead, girl.
It's Chatty Patty time. Chatty Patty, Chatty Patty.
Y'all, next week we going back to in April. I'm going back to my Patty Patty song.
Not in my birthday month though.
But
Wow.
in the resurrection month, which one is more important? Let's test your salvation.
Ooh, wow. The Lord knows my heart.
Hey, what did we say in the beginning? It's the judgment free
Judgment free song.
song.
Okay. I'm feeling a little bit of judgment. I'm just saying.
But no, I've been seeing on social media, a Black China. So Black
Okay.
China is this known, for the listeners listening, if you don't know, I think we all know, but I'm not sure. Black China is a socialite. I don't think she does any music like that, but she's known to be the mother of Robert Kardashian, which is the little brother of the Kardashians. Um, what is it? I don't want to say baby mama, mother of his children.
Okay, because you said mother. I'm like, wait, what?
Mother of his children.
Got
And
it.
then she also was in like a public relationship, I think, with Tyga, I want to say. Needless to say, she's a socialite. We all know, right? And she's
Mhm.
a socialite that has a body and lips and the hair late, blah, 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 blah. But we know like the trend has been BBLs, fillers, all of these surgeries, right?
Right.
So Black China is doing something that's so wonderful. I think is wonderful, but she is now deconstructing herself. She is literally
Mm.
like removing every implant, filler, and she just want to be her government name. Like that's where she is. She's at the point of like documenting it, detailing it, and letting the world know like I'm done with this. I'm becoming something new, like shedding of herself. And I
Yeah.
think is the dopest thing because what she is and has become the standard, which I
Hmm.
think sometimes I guess make other people who have a different beauty standard feel as if they're incapable or inferior to
Yeah.
doing what that standard is. But
Hmm.
for her to document the journey, I think
Right.
it's helpful because it shows us, whoever else, that believe in 90s beauty, because that's me. Like it shows us like okay, like
Yeah.
there are different kinds of beauty. You don't
Right.
have to be that standard. Even the people who went that way and thought that was their standard, they still can change their mind, you know what I mean, and be something else that they decide to be. So what do you think
Hmm.
about that? That's
You know what?
super dope.
I think that's so amazing for her.
Mhm.
And she's not the first. Like I watched the K Michelle documentary a couple of years ago where she was kind of like going through the process of getting her butt injections taken out because she was having a lot of health complications.
Really?
Um,
And I love K.
yeah. So I think it's amazing that they are being transparent about their journeys,
Mhm.
because it is a huge trend and a lot of people outside of the celebrity world, one, can't afford to do it safely. So it's a
Oof,
huge
oof.
medical risk, you know?
Yeah,
So that's a whole nother thing on top of the self-esteem issues, the confidence and the comparison,
yeah.
the false narrative that we see on social media. So I
Mhm.
think it's amazing. I think a lot of people, some people are doing it a little more secretive than others.
Which
And
is the
so
right, because that's health.
yeah, yeah. So I think it's amazing that people are even being courageous enough to kind of take the mask off,
Yeah.
to take the mask off and to really embrace who they are despite the pressures of social media and today's society.
Yeah.
However, I think it is a little unfortunate because the celebrities are the ones that sets the trends and, encourages all these people to do these things that are for a lot of people permanent, because if you a regular girl going to another country to get a surgery, you may not be able to afford to get yours reversed.
Correct. Yeah.
So a lot of people have to suffer the consequences and like live with their decisions forever, whether it's good,
Yeah.
bad, unhealthy, and so I think it's just a lesson to all of us to be very careful of who we're influenced by, like who you're influenced by, especially when you're making permanent changes or significant changes to your body. Like
Yeah.
people are dying on the operating table from these surgeries and, just in unsafe
Yeah,
situations.
I'm gonna say it's not even just the surgeries because it was on the way to the other story we just heard about, you know? And it's like it's not even just on the table, it's even in the journey to go do something
Now,
that I
I'm
know
not going
I
to
wasn't gonna
share
bring it up either, but
my,
I'm just saying like it's not just in that
yeah,
operation room by the hands of another person. It's even on the journey on the way to do something extreme, and not
yeah,
because you don't love yourself, but just because you just, you want to enhance. Like,
hmm,
I feel like, I've talked to friends about it. Like, what kind of work would I get done if I
yeah,
wanted to get work? But
hmm,
I'm too afraid for surgery. Like, I'm a person, if it's not broke, I don't even fix it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
if it's something I want to enhance, okay, what's the natural way I can do it? Like, I feel like
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to plastic surgery. It's nothing that I'm ready to get on the operating table
yeah,
for.
yeah,
But I'm not opposed to it. I think
yeah.
after I have children and breastfeed, I'm gonna probably get some boob action done.
Mm.
A rejuvenation of the girl. So I would not
Girl.
be opposed to that. So
I
again, this is
know,
a
but I just can't.
judgment-free zone.
But like the way they like go and get it done, it just seemed like it is just so. It seemed like when they go get surgeries in the celebrity kingdom world, whatever, it seemed like it's just a waxing appointment.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
way they discuss it, like the way you see it discussed and post about, or
Mhm.
when you on social media, you just seen a person looking one way, and then like the next scroll, you see them looking different. You're like, dang, what did
Right.
like
Yeah.
they make it look like, and again, these things could be Photoshop or whatever, but it
Mhm.
just seemed like it's just I just went to get my eyebrows waxed. Like
Yeah.
so simple, but it's
I
like
mean, so I saw a clip of Black China too, and she was in the doctor's office
uh-huh.
and she's walking in, like talking to her, greeting her doctor, like that's her homeboy. And she was like, yeah, like this has been my doctor for the past 10 years. Like he is the only person that I let touch my body. And
Oh,
so,
so
which
it's
is
a
cool.
stylist. It's
You
like
said,
your favorite person. It's like a stylist, like your favorite person at Macy's, like the one
yeah,
who put
yeah.
it together.
And
Like,
I like that. That was loud to me for her to even acknowledge that she's been getting work done on her body for the past 10 years. Like
oh,
that's huge.
that's a lot of operation in 10 years. 10
She's
years ago, what was I doing?
exactly.
I had body 10 years ago, so they used to call me Diamond.
Girl, girl.
They used to do a little coke bottle shit, 10 years ago. So,
Well, that's when you was doing the chatty patty dance.
right, right, precisely. So in April, when I do the other Chatty Patty song, that's the
Right.
new body to go with that song.
The new renewed diamond.
Right, right. Very mom body. Like, girl, would you get it together?
Oh my God.
But no, I thought that was really cool. Like, I
Yeah.
just love the public stripping,
Hmm.
It's such a stand and a bold move to
Yeah.
do. Very vulnerable,
Yeah.
especially if she
So,
in a change in her life. Typically, when you see people publicly do those things, they're in a soul shift transformation
right.
in
Exactly.
their life. So I'll be praying for her for sure. Just the
Hmm.
safety of her deconstruction, but also just that she, can get the change. Because when you change, like the beginning of your change, but when you change, the people around you start changing, and it makes it
Right.
hard for you to practice who you want to become.
Yeah. Hmm.
So we praying for you, Black China, that you're
Yeah.
conducive for your healing, baby.
And shout out to all the women who are making courageous decisions one way or another, getting the surgery or reversing the
Yeah.
surgery. Either way, shout out to y'all. It takes a lot to choose, to make decisions, and to stand in those decisions.
No,
And
that's a good one.
from one of our episodes earlier this month, we came to the conclusion that it's really okay to start over,
Oh
so
yeah. 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 It's okay to pivot.
going. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this wild card.
Well, we got
We
one.
got a wild card.
Hey, what they say?
Listen,
Tell the
this
people what
is
a
a
wild card is.
and
I
again,
love
we appreciate everybody who is sending in wild cards.
it.
Like this part is so important to the show because we really want this to be a conversation of freedom and liberation. So
Yeah.
it's not just the Brittany and Diamond show. Like we
Yeah.
want you all to participate. We want to hear your voices. We want to talk about it. And again, we don't always have the answer. It's literally conversation. So this
Yeah. It's an
isn't
open dialogue. Yeah.
yeah, it's not just advice column, it's not
Mhm.
strawberry letter. Like it's literally conversation topics. If we have input, we'll give it, but if not, it's just a platform to share the thought and and start the conversation. So let's see, wild card for today.
Okay.
Ooh. All right, so someone wrote in and said, well, it's a question. They are asking, as an adult, early mid 30s, where you have a group of friends of both genders, is it possible to have a platonic relationship within a friend group after you have had a sexual relationship?
Y'all be asking some stuff. I'm just say that right there.
And we love it. So we love it. Welcome to
Man,
the wow, baby girl.
we escaping there.
You got
I
the
live there,
leopard
so it's
background.
fine. I didn't build the house in the wilderness, okay? So come on over. Come on over.
Yes.
Is it okay? So I'm gonna rephrase it. The question or the thought is like, man, being in my 30s, having friends of the opposite sex, how can I still be friends with this person though we had a history of sexual relations?
And it's a group. So we are at some point going to see each other again because we have the same
Correct.
thing. Mm-hmm.
I don't see why not. I just feel like not even just being in your 30s, but just being an adult, being a
Mm-hmm.
human on this earth, we're likely going to like double back to see people in our lives
Yeah.
more than not, or maybe never, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I just feel like it's just a mature decision. I also have this belief personally. I'll speak about my belief first. I have this personal belief that, you know how they say there's a person for every time, reason, and a season type
Yeah.
thing. Like I never believe something is forever for real. Like I really
Mm-hmm.
don't. Like I understand and I'm okay with people's time in my life for when they are there,
Yeah.
whatever the relationship was about,
Mm-hmm.
sexual, platonic, just for fun, weird. It's cool because
Yeah.
in that season, whatever that season was, either we was immature, we were learning, we were growing, we were whatever. We wasn't who we are when see you next in the 10 years. Some people say the same, some people don't. So it's kind of like I don't hold any grudge or any
Mm-hmm.
stigma around what the previous relationship was about, unless it was something extreme. That's different.
Yeah.
But if it was a sexual relation, we have mutual friends and we're in a group. As long as it wasn't like an abusive situation,
Mm-hmm.
they dog me out, or you feel had a terrible feeling left from that person,
Yeah.
I don't see why not. You can't be cordial. Like it's just cool. Like let's just be cordial. It's cool because you never know. Like that person could be the answer to another part of your journey when you
Mm-hmm.
in that space. Because now when you see them in that space with the mutual friends, they could be married, they could not be married, they could be single. You could double back if you needed to, maybe different this time. I don't know, but it's like I don't know. I'm just never of a person to just like throw things away or think things
Mm-hmm.
are forever. Like I feel like there's always opportunity to reinvent a relationship with someone
That's
if
good.
the circumstances allow it, right? Like, but if you still got a feeling in your heart and your chest, like, man, you made me feel bad, because sometimes I feel like we have people treat us away. We have underlining feelings that we don't speak about or didn't speak about with that person.
Yeah.
Now, if that's going on, deal with that first, Other than that, if it's cool, you're cool and I'm cool. And if we're cool, just be cool.
Just be
You
cool.
just never, because God uses all people, man. Like he really does. Like,
Yeah.
even on a different note, I remember like in my mind, I'm like, I don't really bang with that person. Like I really don't. But it'd be that very person who vouched for me or said my name in another room somewhere. You
Oh,
know
wow.
what I mean? But I didn't know they really liked me in that way. But it was a part of their personality that I didn't really mess with.
Yeah.
Like no one is exempt from being used.
I agree, but I think the most important part is that both people have to be on the same page. Like, I think it sounds good to be like, oh, yeah, we can be cool. Like, you may, I guess I'll see you next lifetime type deal. However, I think it's so important that both people have this understanding because a lot of times one person may still have lingering feelings and the other person doesn't. I think at our age now, it is very likely that one or both people may have new partners, right? So we have to take into account, how do our partners feel about this? Do they even know about it?
Yeah.
Are we open and honest about this? Or is it like you're my little secret type thing, and not even saying that you're doing something, but, just maybe you're not comfortable sharing that information because you don't want your partner to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so I think it takes honest and mature conversation with both parties to be like, okay, look, we had a past, this is this, but here we are, present day. I got a spouse, you got a spouse. It truly is platonic. And sometimes those lines can be blurred. You mentioned it. Sometimes somebody may want to double back. Somebody, like it's a lot of things. There's a lot of pieces that are involved that I think require honest and open communication before we can realistically coexist, as platonic friends.
And that's the ideal world.
Yeah.
So there's a show that I love. It's called, everybody that's listening, it's called Love on the Spectrum.
Oh, I think you told me about that. I think I watched one episode and I couldn't get into it, but okay.
She couldn't get into
Didn't get into it.
But it's about, people on the spectrum finding love or trying to find love. But what I love about the show and how the people that's on the spectrum communicate with one another, it's so blunt and honest.
Right.
It's just like, yeah, I really didn't like you, or yeah, you really made me uncomfortable. And I was sitting there watching, I was like, oh my gosh, if more of us in life would just speak like this, it would just make like how we do life together a little bit more easy.
That's true.
So I agree with you too. Like, man, communication is key. But I guess my question would be, if you seen this person for the first time in the friend group, do you pull them to the side? So like, hey, so what are we? Are we gonna like?
Maybe. Why not? Like, I think that's real life. Like, that's what happens.
Or just, shoot a text if you still got their number. Like, yo, I'm recognizing we keep running the same circles, because maybe somebody got a question about that. We still keep running the same circles. Like, how are you doing? How do you feel last? Where you at present day?
Right.
How do you feel about if we just keep it here? I don't want things to be awkward, but I do like your personality when we're with the friend group, like keep it cute. But how do you give people that language of the timing of when to have that conversation?
And I mean, I don't think it's a right template for it. I think it's really about just one, being honest with yourself about where you are, what your feelings are, replaying what that situation meant to you. Like you said, like, do you feel like you were hurt by this person? Do you have animosity? Like, it's so many feelings that could be buried down that, arise when you see that person or, whatever. So I think it's one about being honest with yourself and then moving on to have that conversation with the opposing person.
Yeah. Start with yourself. That's what it sounded like to me. You find yourself in that situation. Start with yourself. Address the feeling when you saw that person in that moment.
Yes. Know what you can handle.
Yeah. And then be honest and reflect about the relationship y'all did have. Don't be trying to smell the roses with it and zhuzh
Exactly.
it up and say it was all pink and pretty and love, like, be honest with yourself and then move forward from there with the conversation or just being cool with it.
I agree.
And not holding grudges. So
Yeah.
that was a cool chatty though. I
That
mean,
was wild card. Yes. Thank you for the wild cards.
thank you, thank you, thank
Um,
you.
so you ready to get into some good girl conversation?
Yes, I love a good girl conversation. What are we talking about today?
Okay, so I have a good topic. I
Okay.
want to talk about the long time saying that we are all familiar with,
What?
that the grass is greener where you water it.
Is that the long time saying? Because I thought the long
Well,
time.
the new version of the long
I'm
time
about to say
saying.
that sound like a healed, elevated.
Oh yes, yes.
Because the other
Okay,
one was the grass is greener.
the grass is greener on the other side. And so the
That's what
new
we
version of the long term saying is that the grass is greener where you water it.
which is powerful. That
It
sounds
is. It
powerful.
is. So I recently did this little activity to discover what your human design is.
Okay.
And my result was that I was a generator. I'm not
Mhm.
going to get into all the details. You can Google it if you're interested. However, just a few statements really, really stood out to me. And it was saying that as a generator, I thrive with climbing mountains. Where I climb the mountain. I love the challenge. And then when I get to the top and it plateaus, I'll be like, oh my God, I feel stuck. I don't like it here. I feel trapped. And so I'm looking for another mountain,
Mhm.
another challenge to take on, another activity, another idea, all these things. And so that, I mean, it like pierced my soul because I have never seen anything that I think described me and my adult life so well. Right. And
Mhm.
so I really like just started considering this topic, considering my human design, my patterns and behaviors of climbing these mountains and never enjoying when I get there. Right.
Mhm.
And so it brought me to this point of the grass is greener, not at the next mountain, but literally where you water it.
Mhm.
And so I think this season in my life, God is really calling me to just be planted,
Mhm.
to be in this season where I'm truly tending to my own garden, where I am building the life that I desire and a life that does not consist of mountain after mountain after mountain,
Yeah.
but tending to the one mountain that I have finally made it to the top of. Um, and so I don't know, it's been very eye opening.
Yeah.
I'm always in the mode of self reflection and self discovery, but this one hit different.
Yeah.
I think it just answered so many questions and frustrations that I often have. But then it kind of consoled me too, because it was like, oh, it kind of built me up like, well, no, I do handle challenges very well, like that's where I thrive. But again, at the age I'm at, with Kevin's career change, moving to a
Yeah.
new state, like I really do want to be planted and just see the fruits of building a life versus constantly climbing different mountains.
Yeah.
um, so I just kind of wanted to open that up to you because I know we've had conversations about you as well, about building your life with you and your daughter. Like, what does that look like? And I just, for us and everyone else, like, I just really want to talk about and encourage ourselves to water the grass that you have. Like, watch that grass grow, nurture it, and just tend to what opportunities you have in front of you.
No, that is so good. Again, like most times, even when we talk in our personal conversations, it's like anytime you talk, it's like, oh, there's so many things that I can address because
Hmm.
even in my own life, it's like, oh, there's so many things that was either downloaded or I was told or whatever like that too. So as you was talking, this is like the grass is greener where you water it. That stands out. And then you say, when I get to the plateau, it's like, oh, I'm bored. But going back to the topic of where I water it is where
Hmm.
it will be fruitful. And
Yeah.
then going to the other thing that you said about tending to the space. And
Hmm.
that made me think of gardening. Like when you tend to something, when I tend to the seeds, seeds. When you think of plateau, when you were saying plateau, I was just thinking of a dry land,
Hmm.
like desert, nothing there, and but then when you tend to a garden at the very beginning, it's seeds in the ground,
Right.
so when you plateau, what seeds did you begin to plant there, you know what I mean? And then when you water it, you know what I mean, how long
Right.
did you stay there and tend to it to see it become something? So that gave me
Yeah.
Psalms 1 and 3. And it says, "And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaves also shall not wither, or whatsoever he doeth shall prosper." And I was
Mm.
just like, oh, that is so good. So as you're talking, I'm seeing the vision of you climbing a mountain, then plateauing, then just looking around like, huh, what do
What
I
to
do
do
next?
next? Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I'm gonna plant seeds on all of this dirt. And then it's like, whatever your business is, whatever you want family to look like, whatever you want friendships, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I'm just seeing you doing it. And then I'm seeing you just staying there, just watering it and just drinking your
Yeah.
coffee. Daisy loves coffee. And I'm just seeing you watering it and just drinking your coffee, and things are starting to sprout,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, now you begin to prosper. So I guess overall what I got was, is when you are planted is when you see prosperity.
That's good. When you are planted,
Is when
that's
you
when you see prosperity.
correct. And it's like with anything, when you set your mind on working out, when you are disciplined and consistent, you will see the muscles, the abs, the
Mhm.
health benefits, your energy boost up. You know what I mean? Like, and that is what I saw as you were talking. And it's just like, wow, God, that is so good. When we plant our feet, prosperity then comes. And so for me, my personal story with the grass is greener, like, I'm impulsive. I'm a big dreamer, visionary, and I always want to move. But I remember my word from the Lord has always been like, you need to plant your feet. Like I always hear the Lord,
Yeah.
girl, plant your feet. So even when you're talking, I'm like, ugh, like, oh my God.
Right.
And I think much like you, I'm in that season, but it's just not in an environment that I thought I would be in.
Mhm.
Plant my
Mhm.
feet. Like I think that's the other thing too. Like we think our environment, like with you, when you plateau and you're looking at this, what looks like a plateau in dry land, it's like, this where you want to plant my feet?
Right.
So
Yeah.
we thinking when we plant our feet, oh, it's in the four seasons. Like
Mhm.
it's in, first class on a plane. It is, and it
Yeah.
very well will come, but it's like when you plant your feet, it's going to look like um dry land. Is going to look like a place where you have to develop again. You know what I mean? Like because when you first started climbing the mountain was something you had to learn and develop to go up.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And once you got up to a certain place and you plateau, it's a different,
Yeah.
environment. You got to develop again to go. And so I connect with this topic so much because it's like I think I'm still in a place of like learning how to plant my feet.
Mhm.
And remember my issue used to be like the meantime thing, like,
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
God, the waiting.
Mhm.
Oh, child, what? But I think I get it
You
now.
get it.
Scripture, it's just like, man, when you plant, you will see prosperity. When you
And when
plant.
you bringing up that scripture and just kind of talking about seasons, it
Mhm.
reminds me of years ago. I had a job, and my supervisor, she was this amazing Black woman. I mean, she just was so hardcore, but excellent at what she did. She was very intimidating to a lot of people, but I kind of like took it as a challenge, like, oh, she's not going to intimidate me. And so I was probably about 6 months into the job, maybe 9, and I applied for a promotion. And so I have my interview with her, and she's like, "So you think you're ready for this promotion?" And I'm like, "Yeah. And so I'm like listing off all of the things, like this and this reason and that reason and this, just listing off all of the reasons
Mhm.
why I truly felt that I was qualified for the promotion.
Mhm.
And she said that she does not give anyone a promotion until they've seen all the seasons of the position that they're in.
Mm.
And at the time, I didn't want to receive it, but now that totally makes sense. Like,
Okay.
you have to weather the entire season, all the seasons of
Wow.
the year to get to the next one. And so
Girl, you in my brain because I was thinking the exact same. analogy. I was like, yeah, because you don't get to the next birthday until you experience all this.
Until
Like, I
you
was thinking that. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, and we hear it so often, like you can't skip the process, right? But it's literally like, at what point do you stay and see the seasons through and tend to the garden? Like earlier we joked about it's still you still have the snowstorms and everything in
I
Michigan, but
know.
it's like,
Daisy, get out of my brain. Did you see why my face was like? I was like, girl, okay, be quiet. Because
but
you
yeah.
girl.
But even that though, you know what I'm saying? Like you have to see this through to get to the rain and the sunshine. Like you
Mm.
gotta have the April showers to get to the May flowers. And I think we truly have to apply that to our lives. And I'm talking to myself because I'm
Yeah,
literally learning this in real time. So even here, yes, like winters are nice in Houston, but the summer is hot and brutal, right? So even that, like I gotta suffer through these super hot days to get to that beautiful fall that's gonna come in October. And so in life, in this stage that I'm at now, like I'm truly learning to. I mean, am I saying, my mantra forever has been bloom, girl, bloom. Like you have to learn to bloom in every season.
yeah, that is your mantra.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, if I'm committed to the process and I'm committed to blooming in every season, I have to be okay with staying for a little while, like not jumping and here. Like I can't move to a state every season because I want the warm weather. Like sometimes I may have to see through the winter time. I may have to experience a
Yeah.
few snowstorms. I may have to rake some leaves, like we can't just constantly jump. Can we
Mm.
reinvent and start over sometimes? Yes. But I think the most important part is to literally have this foundational understanding of being planted, tending to the garden, and seeing the fruit.
Yeah, because I guess like when we are jumping, myself, I can speak for myself, it's like I'm jumping to chase pleasure.
Absolutely.
I'm jumping
Absolutely.
for pleasure. So like you said, like, girl, you running around here chasing summers all year round.
Mm-hmm.
No
Chasing
state,
sunset.
no region, no hemisphere of the world has that one season all year round.
Mm-hmm.
Seemingly, it may seem like they have that season all year round, because it looks away.
Right.
But the process of what goes on in those seasons that are necessary and purposeful,
Yeah.
our livelihood and the other livelihood that's created on this earth are still happening. But yet you still want to chase around for pleasure,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, no, when you are planted, it's like you get all of the pleasure, the hardship, what it is to meantime, the pivot,
Mm-hmm.
and then the actual bloom and creativity. Like that's what we all should strive for, because again, as we get older, you start to see that you want longevity and you start thinking about what you want to be doing in the end
Mm-hmm.
of your life or in the latter of your life. And it's like, but if you keep chasing pleasure now, what is in the latter? Because there's going to be a time when you don't want to fly that much, or
Yeah.
chase that because it's
Right.
meaningless. But hearing you say that, it's like, man, been chasing pleasures all this time. Like that's not realistic.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, like with the analogy of always climbing a new mountain, the downside of that is that a lot of times I'm at the bottom. Like if I get to the top, but I'm so quick to jump to the next one, I have to start at the bottom again.
Oof. And it's like, do we think that's easier to keep climbing up? You would think it's easier to, okay, I climbed up. Oof, what a journey. You would think it would just be easier to go from here to here,
Right.
here to here. You know what I mean? It's not as
Exactly.
long. It's almost like the college process, right? It's 4 years to get your bachelor's, but 1.5 maybe for your master's, depending on what you're doing. you know,
Exactly.
PhD,
Exactly.
that could be as long too, but still, it's still the jump, of a thing. But when you keep,
Hmm.
I guess, looking out at the plateau and looking down, like, oof, who about to cultivate this?
Exactly.
And I think that's the other
Exactly.
thing, like we run from the work that
The
we
run from the work.
yeah, like to water something, that is work.
And it's the work that's not exciting. So
But
for
maybe
me,
it could be though.
it
We just
could,
didn't stay
maybe.
long enough to find the enjoyment in that process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I learned that when I go fill this bucket up with this water and I pour like this, it does something differently. Like we just did,
Yeah.
like me with redecorating my house. I fell in love with that. Remember?
Mhm.
And I had
Yeah.
no clue, you know what I mean? Like I just was doing it, had an inkling and followed it through. I love shopping for home stuff. I
Mhm.
love, YouTubing. I love the DIY. Like I love all of it. And I would have never known that I enjoy cultivating homes.
Yeah.
I did until I did my one. Because at first it looked like too much. Like, oh, I should just hire a professional. Just, you know. But I think that journey, me being planted in that journey, so I'll be planted in seasons. I
Yeah.
learn
Yeah.
how to be planted all year round. But me being planted in that season, it taught me my skill set, what I liked about a journey, and then now I just want to keep doing it again. Like
Yeah.
wait until I make another house or home like that. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it will be greener. What did it say? The scripture said, way more fruitful and prosperous, where you water something. Matter of fact, it said it was planted by a river already. So you
Come
already
on.
got the supply that you need to water it. But because
Yeah.
it doesn't look like where you think you're supposed to be planted while you're waiting on for the next thing, it's like it ain't got nothing I need. It's a whole river and all this dirt. What did he tell you to do? What is the seed
Mhm.
in you?
Yeah.
And literally all you have to do is show up, be yourself, and do what you were told. So start spilling out all the seeds, the river that was already there, take the water and water it. And then
Yeah. Right.
people will come, you know what I mean? All that you're looking for, it will come. You know what I mean? Like that goes back
Mhm.
to seek ye first the kingdom and all the righteousness will be added. You know what I mean?
Will
Like
be added. Yeah.
doing what you said and I'm using the water, the river that you gave to me, and I water what you told me to stay out, which is the seeds. It's like abundance will happen, prosperity
Yeah.
will happen. And all of this is coming to me now, Daisy.
I can tell.
Us having this conversation. And it's our podcast, but this is how we talk anyway. So
Yeah.
you can't tell me stuff about God and I cannot not talk about it. It's coming to me now, like, oh God, like you're speaking to
Yeah.
me now. Like,
Right.
but
Yeah. I mean, no, that's been my process for the past 2 weeks. Like every day I'm getting another download, another revelation of what this season is supposed to look like for me. And it's truly learning to tend to the garden, to build the life I desire without this self-sabotage almost of
yeah,
before another mountain.
self-sabotage or without fear. I think mine's has been fear.
Yeah.
And I think it's like fear of inadequacy. I don't think it's like fear like, oh, something gonna happen to me when I start building my life. I think it's just
Hmm.
like thinking you're powerless or inadequate to receive
Yeah.
to actually do that thing.
Yeah, I don't think mine is a fear, is fear. I think it is truly been like this desire of thrill. Like I think I've seen people who get in routines and it does look like they're stuck in those routines. Like I don't
Mm,
see much excitement or liveliness or
true,
movement. And
true.
so I'm like almost resistant to the discipline. I'm resistant to the routine because I'm like, no, like I want more. I want excitement. I want, like that. And so I'm really learning and trying to like accept the idea that discipline does not mean you're depriving yourself.
Oof. Can I repeat that?
You can.
Discipline does not mean you are depriving yourself. That rings bells to me. Um, because discipline does sound like used to. I'm working on it this year. Discipline used to sound like to me like that mean you can't do this, you can't do that, and like
Mhm.
all the things you can't do. So you're like, what can I do?
Right,
You know?
exactly.
But discipline really is like, yo, when you do that, and when you do that, and when you do that, the ladder, the results. That thing gonna bang.
Yeah.
That thing gonna bang. So
So I feel like this is good. I think we both have homework to do and more revelations
Yeah.
about just really cultivating.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited. I'm excited to see where we are 6 months from now or a year from now after we, literally tend to the garden,
Yeah.
I think even this podcast is such a testament of that,
Yeah.
of the
Say
discipline,
every
of
episode.
the tending. Would you say?
I think we say that every episode we give homage to the podcast. Like, no, this podcast is like
I mean, no, though, because one episode we did talk about just how it's so much fruitfulness and favor in the obedience. And so yeah, it's gonna be a reoccurring idea and topic because this is an act of obedience for
it
us.
really
And
is.
I think we are like immediately seeing that fruit. But
Mm,
it's not without work though. We got to be consistent. We have to show up. We have to do trial and error. We got to figure things out.
okay.
Like it's
Is
all of
it
these
safe
things.
to say that when we got the idea or the inkling, the Lord planted us by the river? The podcast is the river, and the way we water in it is by showing up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's a nugget for somebody. That's how we literally be in our conversations every time. Like,
Yeah, no, for real.
wait a minute. Like, oh, because what you just said was like, it's been so fruitful ever since. And it's like,
Yeah,
hmm, like podcasting is the stream and us showing up every
absolutely.
time it's watering.
Hmm.
So whatever you got going on, like, go water it.
Yeah. So, what would you say? I think you kind of just said it, but what would be your Valley quote?
I feel like
Everything.
every episode, I feel like I say the Valley quote, and then we like, so what is the Valley quotes?
So maybe we just need to re-emphasize.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll go back to the beginning one to understand like where you are planted, you know, is where you will prosper. Because I have that issue right now with where I'm living
Hmm.
in Michigan. And so believing like what seems dry, right? You may be the answer to the bloom
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
you're planted by a river. Meaning, if you
Yeah,
know the source, that's your river.
that's good.
What would
So I guess mine would be, it's like a lot of pieces. So I talked about this craving I have for climbing mountains, but ironically, this is called the Valley quote. So essentially, everything is not going to be a climb. Sometimes you will be in the valley. And so I want to encourage everyone that when you're in those valley moments, when you're not in the midst of the challenge of climbing a mountain, to remember that the discipline does not mean that you're depriving yourself. That discipline can be the cultivation of something so beautiful and so fruitful.
That's good. I'm taking that one. So make sure you write those out and we're going to put them on our social media.
Valley quotes.
That's our Valley quotes.
All
And this is the
right. Give
good
us good girls tidings.
So this is the Good Girls Tidings where you give you all the news of where the good girls be at. That's bad English. So you can find us on Instagram at Good Girls Wild Thoughts, and you can watch our YouTube podcast at Good Girls Wild Thoughts Podcast. And y'all already know our AKA name hashtag is GGWT. And if you have a wild card, make sure you email us or DM us. The email is ggwtpodcast@gmail.com. Daisy, let them know.
Don't forget, when you fully submit yourself to God, you will be your most authentic self. Stay consecrated.